Good morning, everybody. Hi. I just wanted to get our morning going. As we're all finishing, feel free to keep eating your brunch. Go get some more brunch. Refill on your coffee and your water and everything. But I'm going to go ahead and invite up our speaker. I wanted to just introduce her. This is a very dear friend of mine. I've known her. We were at Sullivan Middle School together. That's how long I've known her. And we became really good friends in high school. We did Christian club together. And she's just been a dear for all through college. We kept in touch, and we both stayed local to Fallbrook area, to San Diego area. And so she's just a really sweet friend that I've had for a really long time. And I was racking my brain for an embarrassing story, but I couldn't think of one. So we're just gonna go with it. Rebecca is speaking to us today about simplification and all the different ways that can be a benefit to all of us. So I encourage you guys to, if this is not a topic you've really thought about previously, to just open up your ears and your hearts. The reason why I feel like it's so valuable that Rebecca's here is because she has little tiny babies just like us, and she's still living a very simplified life and has lots to say about the benefits of it. So, view her as someone who's in your shoes right now and has a lot of wisdom in this topic. So please help me welcome Rebecca.
So yes, my name is Rebecca. I'm so honored to be with all of you ladies this morning. This is actually the church that I grew up in and where I first met Jesus. And much of my faith foundation was built. So it will always feel like home, and I'm so thankful for Riverview. All right. So just for fun, this is a semi-recent photo of my sweet family. There's Zeke, who is rocking the monster truck pajamas, and Jet. Zeke is 3.5, and Jet is 1.5 years, and then we're also expecting another little one this summer. And my wonderful husband, Chris. Yeah, thank you. All right, I want to start by praying. Oh, Heavenly Father, I'm just so grateful for this community and just to see all these women gathered, God, who are seeking you, seeking to be intentional moms, raising their kids to know you, God. I pray that this morning would be encouraging, that we would leave just even more grateful for all that you've given us and the ways you're working in our lives, God. I pray that you would give me the words and give us all peace. We love you. Amen. All right. It's funny to have a screen up there. So fancy. All right. So when our first son was born, my husband and I would keep ourselves awake in the middle of the night feedings by listening to audiobooks. And one of those audiobooks was called The More of Less by Joshua Becker. And it was all about removing the excess from our homes in order to spend less time managing our stuff and more time doing the things that we truly cared about. And at the time, we were feeling so overwhelmed by all of the items surrounding us that Amazon told us that we needed in order to care for a new baby. And we felt more and more discontent with our apartment that seemed to get smaller each day. And we had nowhere to put all these baby essentials that were already taking up our very limited storage space. And so the book was pretty convincing, and we decided that decluttering was at least worth a try. All right. So we started with our closets, where I embarrassingly discovered that I had accumulated almost 100 dresses, most of which I never wore. And then it was on to kitchen supplies and linens and baby clothes and the rest of our home. We eliminated anything we hadn't used in the past year. And I found that with each trip to the donation drop-off, we felt freer. We gifted our family and friends some of our nicest possessions that we just never used, and we decided that we'd rather have the space that they were taking up. It was work, both emotionally and physically, but the peace that we were beginning to feel in our home made it more than worth it. So fast forward to 4 years later, and I'm still so grateful for the ways that simplifying our home has impacted us. We've since moved to a bigger space, but we're determined to keep only what we use and need, even though we have room for more. I'm by no means an expert, and every season brings its unique challenges, but I'm excited to share some of what I've learned so far in the hopes that it might bless you too. All right, before I go into some of the ways that reducing the number of our possessions in order to simplify our home has been influential on my faith as a follower of Jesus, I want to start by defining the goal. When we hear the word minimalism, which is often used as a synonym for simplicity, many of us think of the style. So bare decorations, neutral colors, all wooden toys, etc. And this is not what I'm referring to. I'm also not referring to a set of rules about how many items you can keep in your home. What I have personally been intrigued by is the practice of only keeping what we use and or enjoy when it comes to material items. It's the very opposite of hoarding, and it has nothing to do with your personal style. It's a way of living that holds on to the essentials and lets go of all the extra, and it's going to look different for everyone. And this is a tool to help us. It is not an identity. Decluttering is how we accomplish the goal of a highly simplified home. So while pursuing a highly simplified home is not an inherently Christian goal, after researching it extensively and from my own firsthand experience, I found that learning to let go of our material items and living with less is a topic that the Bible has a lot to say about. At the core of our desire for a simplified home is the truth that material items can never truly fulfill or satisfy us. As Christians, we know that true satisfaction and fulfillment comes from the gospel alone. And while we may know this to be true, we're constantly being bombarded with marketing that tells us that lasting joy is just a purchase away. I personally need daily reminders to combat the lie that said, if I just have this one more thing, then I'll be happy. I've already spent too much of my life with this unintentional mentality. I want my kids to see that our true treasure is in Jesus, and my actions will always speak louder than my words. In Luke 12, Jesus tells a story that unpacks this truth. Then he said to them, "Watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions." And then he told them this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, "What shall we do? I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "This is what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. And I'll say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy. Eat, drink, and be merry." But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be for whoever stores up things for themselves but is not rich towards God." When we recognize the enormous influence that materialism has on our culture and the way that it impacts our daily lives, we can begin to put stuff back in its rightful place. Our possessions can give help and enjoyment, but they should never be our source of identity, security, or fulfillment. If they are, satisfaction will always remain one click away. I very much used to find identity in wearing a different outfit every day, and I used shopping to cheer me up after a hard week. I would spend hours browsing clearance sections to find great deals on clothing and other items that I didn't actually need. Eliminating over 80% of my wardrobe and decor has made this hobby of clearance shopping far less appealing because those were the first items we decluttered due to their poor quality. I now happily wear this same handful of outfits every day, and getting dressed has never been easier. This simple act of getting rid of unnecessary possessions has helped me identify the unhealthy habits that I use to fill a hole that only Jesus can. As their most influential teacher, I pray that my kids see me turn to Jesus when I feel discouraged, not retail therapy. As we declutter our stuff, we begin to view our homes through a lens of abundance rather than scarcity. With this mindset, we can quickly recognize that most of us have way too much, and many of those items could be serving a useful purpose for someone else. Rather than seeking to accumulate more, we can focus on only keeping what we need and being grateful for the ways that those items enhance our lives. The solution is not more stuff. It's appreciating and using what we already have and blessing others with the rest. In 1 Timothy 6, Paul teaches Timothy a right view of material possessions. After warning about those who think that godliness is a way to get rich, he writes, "But godliness actually is a means of great gain when accompanied by contentment, for we have brought nothing into this world, so we cannot take anything out of it either. If we had food and covering, with these we shall be content." In the book, The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel retells this short story that I will paraphrase. At an extravagant party hosted by a billionaire, a man tells his friend, who is a best-selling author, that their host had made more money in a single day than he had earned over his lifetime. The author responds to the man, "Yes, but I have something he will never have: enough." These verses in this story have both convicted and inspired me. Simplifying our home has helped me to finally define enough and to be grateful that we have a place to call home. In a culture of influencers, I will always be tempted to compare my home and my possessions to that of someone else's. But the process of decluttering shows me that I do not just have enough, I have an abundance that I can share. What a gift we can give to our children by modeling this for them all the time. The process of highly simplifying our homes helps us understand more clearly how the less attached we are to the material things of this world, the more easily we can live generously and say yes when God calls us. Doing the work to minimize our possessions gives us frequent practice letting go, and it really does become easier and easier. It also gives us countless opportunities to see the joy that our generosity brings. The items going unused and cluttering up our homes are often the same ones that someone has genuinely been needing. Jesus reveals to a rich young man that his attachment to stuff is keeping him from fully following God and a secure hope of eternal life with him in Matthew 19. See if I can read. "Now behold, one came and said to him, 'Good teacher, what good thing shall I do that I may have eternal life?' So he said to him, 'Why do you call me good? No one is good but one, that is God. But if you want to enter into life, keep the commandments.' He said to them, 'Which ones?' Jesus said, 'You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself.' The young man said to him, 'All these things I have kept from my youth. What do I still lack?' Jesus said to him, 'If you want to be perfect, go, sell what you have and give to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. And come, follow me.' But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had a great many possessions." Getting rid of the items that we worked hard to be able to afford has been challenging and emotional, to say the least. For example, my husband always wanted to learn how to surf, and he purchased a $900 surfboard. With no garage, it lived in our bedroom for 7 years, only used once. It wasn't easy, but through the process of minimizing, he decided to give it to our nephews, who currently use it once a week. Now, something that used to bring guilt is finally being put to its intended use. So in addition to the benefits simplifying our home has had on my faith, there have also been lots of other benefits that we've experienced as a result. So here are a few. Well, my home still gets really messy, of course, with little toddlers, it's much easier to clean, and it's not an overwhelming chore like it used to be. We also feel so much more peaceful and can relax in our home. And we love inviting guests over, and it's not stressful to invite them over last minute. We also learned to value quality over quantity, which was flip-flop for me before. I'm also now much more intentional with my purchases, which has saved our family a lot of money. And my kids are learning from a very young age how to let go of their toys in order to bless someone else. And the other day we were dropping off a bag, and my son says, "Mom, are we giving toys to kids that don't have them?" And that was a huge step, that rather than being like, "What is that toy doing back there?" that he was able to freely let it go. So, as I mentioned earlier, the process of decluttering is really emotional and challenging, especially with things that are pricier or things that were gifts or things that we have memories associated with. So while I'm going through our items, which I still do at least monthly, these are some of the many questions that I ask myself, which are also on the handout that you should all have at your tables. So one question is, has this item been used in the past year? What would I do if I didn't have this item? Is there something I could use instead? How would I feel if this item suddenly disappeared? Would I buy that same item again? And a big one is, am I only keeping this item out of guilt? All right, so if you are at all intrigued by this topic, my challenge would be to try decluttering one space in your home this week. It could be a closet, a bathroom, your kitchen, whatever area you think could be simplified in order to bring more peace to your home. And one big thing is that decluttering is completely free. I have spent $0 on decluttering my home. Because there's a big difference between organizing and decluttering. And the goal of decluttering is to minimize your inventory so that you have less items to manage, and then hopefully it's easier to organize in the future. But there's no right or wrong way to do it, and getting started is the hardest part. Here are a few resources. I like to watch YouTube videos. These are a few YouTube videos, channels that are from a Christian mom perspective, and reading books to help me stay motivated, because the lies of influencers or marketing are with us daily. And so to combat those lies, having other input is really helpful to stay motivated. Here are some tips, which are also on your handout. One is that in the middle of decluttering, it will always look worse before it gets better. So just push through that initial challenge. And like I said before, many of the items you will feel guilty donating or giving away. But by keeping the item every time you see it, it just reminds you and makes you feel guilty every time. By removing it from your home and giving it a chance to bless someone else, you will be freed from that guilt, and I promise you, you won't think about that item. Sometimes it's worth the effort to sell big items, and you can make money, some of the money back that you spent. But for the majority of items, selling it is so stressful, and it's easier to just give it to someone you know would benefit from it, or to an organization or a donation center. And yeah, another big thing is if you have an item that you know is taking up a lot of space in your home, or is challenging to manage and is not blessing your family, but it's really hard to remove, spend time in prayer, asking God, what is this about? Why do I feel so attached to this item? And just use that as an opportunity. All right, so on your handouts, on the back, there's a series of questions, and these are more practical questions. And so we can take 5 to 10 minutes to jot down any thoughts or response to those questions, and then we'll have some time to share at our tables. And at the very end, I asked Alyssa if she would come back up, because this idea of simplifying our homes has been something she's very passionate about as well. And so if anybody has questions for either of us that you thought of, whether they're general or very specific, you can save those for the end. Alrighty, so if you have a pen, you can get started. All right. If you guys want to wrap up your conversation in the next few seconds, and then if you thought of any questions.
Thank you. Excellent.
Wow. They have it all.
Yay.
Okay. Did anybody think of a question? There we go. Yeah. That's a great question. I'll let you start it off. Alyssa, do you want to give a tiny bit of background to your passion for?
Yes. That's true. I'll start off by saying that you guys would laugh if you saw the state of my house this morning and be like, why is she on the stage? Get off the stage. But I'm very inspired by Rebecca as living in a highly simplified home, and I've read every single resource and watched every video, and I've listened to all the audiobooks and done all the things to learn the information. So I like to spout out a lot of advice. I'm still working on doing it, but I'm on the journey, so I wanted to share with you as somebody that is currently in your shoes right now, working on it and trying, and not having achieved the goals that I have set yet. But we did just talk about that at our table about I'm not the problem, it's other people giving me things for my kids and giving me stuff. And we kind of talked about how it's hard and you don't want to hurt feelings and you don't want to make anybody upset in your family, but you are ultimately the gatekeeper of your home, right? And you're the one that has to live there, and you're the one that has to clean it up, and you're the one that has to raise your kids with a mentality of, do we care about materialism or do we not? And sometimes you're feeding a narrative to your kids without realizing it by saying, oh, every time grandma comes home, I'm so excited grandma's coming because she's bringing me toys. And I don't want my kids to see my mom that way. I want them to see her for who she is and that they love spending time with her. And I don't want to allow her to give the narrative that stuff is what we care about, or that I'm going to be happy when I get stuff. And therefore, I have personally, you can share too, I have hurt some feelings in my family by saying, that is so thoughtful of you. No, thank you. We are not going to use this item, or we'll use it a little bit, we'll donate it later, or I say thank you and we set it aside and we give it to somebody brand new, like you were saying. And now over time, my parents have seen this, and other people in our lives have seen that I do this, and they're kind of I was saying, they're kind of joke, well, don't give anything to Alyssa, she's going to throw it in the trash. And they make fun of me for it, but hey, I'm living more of the home that I want to have, with the mentality that I want my kids to be learning. So that's my answer, but you can add.
Oh, that was beautiful. I agree. We were talking about that too. You take a picture of it.
And then,
whoosh. Yeah, if something's oh, this is their first ever drawing. I have a memory box that is not very large, but I just put things that are really sentimental and I think they might want to look back on someday, or I might want to. But the rest, take a picture, put it in a file in your Google Photos or whatnot, and then you throw it away where they don't see it. Or recycle, just cover it with some other stuff.
Well, that question also is, the answer can be applied to lots of different types of items. And a rule that I've learned is that you can judge it by make a container be the rule. That sounds weird. The container is the rule. So I have one memory box for my kids' stuff, maybe one for each of them. And I'll fill it, and when it's full, it's time to recycle things out. It's time to move things out, because the container is going to be my limit for this. I'm not going to go get 5 more containers. I'm going to say, this container is what I'm keeping, and I let them choose. Which one do you want to get rid of? Which one do you want to recycle? And then you can add this new one you made into it and involve them in the process as well. And that can be true of so many of your items. We're you know what? I really only want to deal with one drawer of this type of thing in my kitchen. And when the drawer is full, it's time to get rid of stuff, type of thing. Same type of thing.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, what I was going to say is I tell my kids when I'm throwing things away, I'm well, we don't need it anymore, but the trash goblet.
beautiful. Oh. And then they're
Storytelling.
just laughing and they forget all about it. That's really creative.
The power of storytelling is good with kids, for sure.
That's really sweet. Any other questions? Yeah.
I 100% support this. Have you ever gotten rid of something where months later you're like, I wish I would have kept that? Because that's the fear that
Yeah.
they oftentimes from getting rid of that first handprint or whatever it may be.
I honestly can't think of a specific item where that's happened. Yeah, I mean, maybe my husband sometimes will be like, hey, where's this thing? And for a second, he'll be like, you got rid of that? But then 5 minutes later, he doesn't care anymore. You can think of some stuff? You go for it.
Yes, I just, so one of the resources Rebecca put on this sheet is the Minimal Mom on YouTube, and she just made a video about this, and the video was called 100% No Regrets Guarantee Decluttering. I was like, yes, I need to click on that. And she's like, the only way to make sure you don't get rid of anything that you're gonna regret losing is by not decluttering. Don't do it. If holding on to every little thing and living the way that you're living now is more important to you than potentially losing something, you just hold on to everything. But obviously, it's the mindset that what you gain from simplifying and having a daily life that you feel peace and you feel relaxed in your home, and your home is like your refuge, and you're not stressed all the time by your own home, the benefits of that just so far outweigh the potential risk of getting rid of something you need, which is so rare. And the truth is, you're so rarely going to actually lose something that you really, really, really needed. And it's in my past.
That you can't replace.
Right.
With like $10.
Exactly. It's either replaceable or you don't really need it. You never really needed it. Like that happened to me with one specific thing in the last year. My past year that I've spent decluttering my house. I was like, I haven't used this item all year, through all the seasons, everything. I haven't used it. I donated it. And then it was like literally like 2 months later or less, I was like, oh my gosh, I need that thing. And I was like, ugh, and I beat myself up so hard, and I got so upset, and it was something that was probably worth like $50, and I was like, I don't want to have to buy this thing again. But I thought, okay, all of the benefits I had because I chose to bravely let go of things and take the risk, and the benefits of how my home feels so far outweigh that like one thing in the whole year of decluttering that I've had. And then the Lord worked it out, and that item came back to me through a gift later on. So it was like, I was like, okay, thank you, Lord, for like affirming that for me. But you're not gonna do it perfectly. You're gonna make mistakes, but just outweigh the pros and cons of that.
That's good.
Can you tell us a little bit about how your parenting has been impacted by, stress levels and such, or everything in general, by decluttering?
A huge amount. Yeah. Now, once we reset our space, it takes like 10 minutes to clean up the toys and put away the things in the kitchen. It just feels so much more peaceful, whereas before, it's like I couldn't even think with so many things around. And with parenting, I definitely value the things that are good quality, that we'll play with for a long time, and having just like less visual stimulation. I used to be a teacher before I had kids. In my classroom, I thought it was so cute, but it was wall to wall. Everything was covered in cutesy decorations, so visually overwhelming. And now thinking back, I realize, man, that was probably highly stimulating for my students. And so now my kids' rooms are like bare blank walls, just because it feels peaceful, it feels cleaner. And I can't say, I started when my kid was 5 and I see this drastic difference, but I know that I feel more at peace in their spaces, and so I'm hopeful that they do too. Did you want to respond?
Yeah, that you being more at peace is absolutely going to affect how your children feel when they're around you. Because like stressed out mommy, everybody knows those vibes. And everybody has been a little kid with when mom's really mad and stressed out and freaking out about things, and we all know how we felt, when our parents were stressed out. So I feel like absolutely, like, to be like, I'm gonna create an environment for myself that gives me peace. It makes me, like, in my experience, even though I'm still very early in my journey, it makes me slow down, and it makes me think, like, you know what, there's not that much to clean. And so I don't have to, like, rush and rush my kids and rush through this, and, like, somebody's coming and there's, like, we have to get everything all cleaned up, we have to have this appearance of this. It's like, I'm like, there's not that much, and also I'm slowing down. And so we all have more patience when we're slowing down. It's like, absolutely, it's affected my parenting. Yeah.
It's whatever you like want to, whatever you want to store, and what you want. If these items bring you so much joy and they're worth storing in, and you have a place for it, keep whatever you want to keep. But if you're like, I don't actually need to decorate every corner of my house, I realized I used to, like, decorate every corner of our apartment, like every single little thing, and then since simplifying, I realized when I would take them down after Christmas, I, like, took a deep breath of, oh my gosh, it feels so much better in here. And I realized, like, I didn't actually need all of those decorations. But if you love them, it's up to you. You have the power to choose. But if you're just keeping it because you're like, oh, this was my great Aunt Ruth's, like, maybe somebody else wants it.
Can I add to that really quickly?
Oh, please.
Also using natural things like pine
There you
cones,
go.
cranberries, things that you can throw away later on. Let your kid dye real eggs and then throw them away. Don't
Brilliant.
so using like natural things. Somebody with pine trees, go cut some pines down, whatever to decorate. Finding those things that I find that I can just
You don't have to store them.
throw away, and then next year, Halloween again or something different.
So good.
I love that. And I also feel like with decorations, like, and with everything, every person's going to have their own threshold of what they want. And every person has their own, like, what brings them peace and them comfort. And again, like Rebecca said, it has nothing to do with your style. You guys can all be completely unique in what your happy place is with how much stuff you have. And same thing with holiday decorations. Like, some people are like, I just love Christmas and I want a tree in every corner, and it brings you joy and you see it and the lights and it's like everything you wanted. Or like maybe you're doing it because you feel like you have to, or like you're like Rebecca and it's like, oh, this is kind of crowded and overwhelming. Same thing with all your stuff. Like, there's not a set number of things you're supposed to have. Just do what makes you feel comfortable.
Sweet. Any other questions? All right, it's free time. Recess. All done.
Yes.
Oh, just kidding. Sorry.
You want to help me, Alyssa? There's a lot of announcements. So one thing, table leaders, the school packet from last year, we missed it. So anyway, it's on the table. If you could distribute those, this is there. Number 2, in 3 weeks from now, we're going to have an opportunity to declutter. And we're going to, we can even bring a trailer to store all this stuff if you guys really get the time. With the leap week, there's actually 3 weeks until the next Mom Life meeting. We're going to donate to a church in Ensenada. So we have someone who goes to Mexico and gives to people there. So if you want to bring in donations, that would be on the 7th of March. So you have 3 weeks. Okay. Ben's thing.
Oh yeah, just a reminder as well that next Tuesday, Pastor Ben Meckler is teaching at the Night for All. This is for everyone, childcare provided, and everyone is invited to come learn about the fruit of the Spirit.
Super fun. Cool. Then don't forget about this letter. Someone...
Yes, sorry. The Ben Meckler study starts at 6:30, and it ends at 8. 6:30, but you come at like 6:15 to drop off your kids and grab
Deanna?
coffee.
I guess they will take anything. They really, they are, I would say lightly used, right? Yeah, home goods, clothing.
So she's saying bring anything. Bring dresses, clothing, home goods, any items you want to part with. This is a great opportunity.
I'm gonna bring a trailer. I have one that a covered trailer, so don't be shy about that. Okay. This letter is about the art project. We talked about it in the beginning. We're doing a service project together. So if you come up with something, someone at my table said, I have a bunch of little art easels that still in the box, like only used once. They're like new. Maybe you already have something at home, or if you want to take this letter to somebody that you know. But it'd be contributing to the whole collection. So it's not just for your table, whatever you bring in.
And then don't forget our Mom's Night Out. It's trivia and karaoke. March 1st. This is really close by. This is at the clubhouse in the Palo Mesa neighborhood. Like if you're on the 395 and you're coming up on the mobile station, it's like there's like a light right there. Then when you're coming out of the mobile station, it's really close. Behind Nessie Burger. Thank you.
Oh, perfect.
So super close by, really fun, and do they sign
You
up?
should have got an Evite for that.
Please register for food sake.
And just come and hang out.
It's free.
And the last one is next week. We're meeting at the park, the Orange Park, or the community center. So, yeah. I can't see what she says.
Oh, so also your mentor moms at your table. Everyone look at your mentor mom. Look at your mentor mom. Everyone say thank you to your mentor mom.
Say I love you.
We love you. Your mentor moms want to pray for you. They said, please let us pray for you. There are little cards at your tables that you can write out your prayer requests. So just grab one right now. Even if you don't have a prayer request, just grab one. Maybe you'll think of one as we're closing and fill out how your mentor moms can be praying for you this week. They love to pray for you. They want to. Please do not rob them of the blessing of praying for you.
Good. Have a blessed week, you guys. We got a few minutes to socialize, so thank you.
Pick up your kids at 11:30, please.
Thank you very much.
Okay.